Hi, everybody. This is Christina from Triathlon Mommy, Dastrum Run Clubs, and Dastrum Coaching. And I help moms just like you start a children's fitness business in your community so that you can have three outcomes. So you can earn income because it is a business, so that you can work on your fitness, both on like your physical fitness and your mindset. But third and most importantly, that you can really impact your community with our empowerment curriculum. And I come in the group. July has been a little bit shaky in terms of our lives because I have been a lot on vacation because I get to do that. But today I am so happy that I have Jackie Green with us, and Jackie is, I call her my British pen pal. She is one of my favorite people in the world, and it's really cool because she's the creator of the psychological circles of love. And what she does, which I think is so important, is that she helps, especially women, kind of connect with our true essence of who we really are, to be in that alignment, and have that relationship with ourself that is healthy, that is fun, that is easy. And once we have that relationship within ourselves, then we can go and have that relationship outside of ourselves, whether that is with another human being or with our businesses or with things that are outside. But that doesn't work unless our internal home is doing okay. And so I brought her over today, and she was so gracious to accept because she just launched a new book. It's called The 90 Days of Meditation. And she's not teaching you how to meditate, but she's teaching you the importance, like her story, and the importance of meditation as part of a self-care routine. And I wanted to bring her in because a lot of you have been telling me that these are kind of some stressful times for us moms, especially here in the US, because our numbers with COVID keep going high. The news changes every day. So in some parts of the country, like in my state, it's already determined that it's going to be, schools for next year is going to be fully virtual until at least September. In some states, it's until January. In some states, they still don't know. And so moms, and especially working moms, are like, what the fuck? Like, what am I supposed to do with my kids? How am I supposed to work and have my kids? Or what if I have a job that I have to go somewhere? And what do I do with my kids? Where are they going to go? Or what if I'm a teacher and I have to go to school, but my kids can't? So there's so much fear and uncertainty. And I like to look at times like this as times of the greatest opportunities, right? It's like, oh my gosh, when things go in chaos, that's where I shine, because that's where I can see this needs to be done. This is a need. This is a need. This is a need. And I can go and I can fill it. So that works for me. But meditation and having, like, I can't come to those decisions, to those views, unless I'm calm. Like if I'm in freak out mode, nothing comes. If I'm in freak out mode, I can't see the answer to anything. And meditation is certainly something I use to just like bring everything down, so that when I'm there in that state, then I can be creative, then I can be resourceful, and then I can change things or I can help things. So Jackie, thank you for being here. And why don't you tell us a little bit about you, and then we'll dive into the meditation part as a tool for getting.
Yeah, of course. Firstly, thank you so much for having me. It's obviously, I know that we talk outside of these sorts of things, but it's so lovely to come on in a professional manner and, but get to talk about all the stuff we love anyway. And it's funny hearing you say, obviously, I appreciate that most of your ladies are in the US with you. So firstly, you can't get away with my accent without obviously being from the UK. But when I hear you talking about COVID and about the stresses and strains that the mums are under, especially, it's identical here. Here I am with my face covering for when I go to the shop. So that's a definitive for us at the moment. And we don't know either. So one of ours went back to school. The other two didn't. We don't know if the colleges are going to reopen in September. So I totally understand, really in a space of really appreciating whether we're right across the other side of the pond or not. I get where you're at with that. And so, yeah, so what I do, so I'm going to correct you and you're going to love me for it. It's the psychological levels of love, not circles, but it's all good.
I'm sorry. I even wrote it down, dude, and
I
I messed it up.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm by no means offended, but I brought together that process. Basically, that came about. It is a process that steps through levels specifically, starting very much with our physical security. So like that's not just our external environment, but our internal security. Like how safe does it feel to sit for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 hours and actually be with ourselves? Because I think for many people, even the thought of that alone is scary. And so we start right down at that bottom level. And we also look at the external environment. Does my bedroom give off an essence of peace and tranquility and sleep and all the other things that we do in a bedroom? And, or does it have things going on that don't promote that? Does my car enable me to be focused and driving and going where I want to go? Or is there too much going on in that and it takes away my concentration? So we look at the physical side as well. And that's just at the first level. And it's where the book, I'm going to show it up because I have it here right beside me. There it is. Oh, hang on. So there it is in black. And literally when Christina says, I just launched this, literally it was this week. It's on Amazon. It's in every territory. So whether that's the US, Australia, wherever, it's everywhere around the world. It's on Amazon. You can literally search my name, search the name of the book and find it. But as you said, Christina, it's my journey. So the psychological levels of love was most definitely what I would call a download. I was sat in frustration one day as a business owner, being held back by other people's copyrights or restrictions on all of the stuff that I'd been taught and learned in my time. I suddenly couldn't utilize that in a way I needed to because of certain online copyrights. And I thought, well, this is about how I teach. It's what I teach. It's the essence of me. It's not somebody else's work. And this download came, and that's where the psychological levels of love came from. But I was able to do that because of a meditation practice I had put in place many years before, through which this book was literally those very first 90 days where I chose, okay, I've heard that meditation's great. People keep telling me, I have no idea what's this actually all about. And it is brain dump after brain dump, after experience, after manifestation. There are stories that when I read them now, they still make me shudder or cry in greatness. There are bits that I can't read because they make me cringe, but it's raw and it's there. And the biggest takeaway, and I think what's important, a really important thing right now, especially like we said, where you could be incredibly busy and then you've got all of these other decisions to make, is it isn't this big, wildly sort of out there thing. If you just stop in any moment and notice the ground beneath your feet and take a breath. We can call it mindfulness or meditation or being present in the moment. How often do we do it? How often do we literally just stop? And it could just be for a moment. It could be for 5 minutes, locked in the bathroom, sat on the edge of the bath, just taking a breath and allowing all the crazy thoughts just to be there as thoughts, because that's all they really are, is just thoughts. And when we let them be versus fight against them or allow ourselves to be overwhelmed by them, when we just let them be, they get to flow around and dissipate as any other thought or experience can. So the main thing of the book is taking away the mystery. Is like one normal girl who just went, life is not what it's meant to be for me right now. I'm going to do this thing that people say are great. And it was great. And I am now in the process of creating a backup to the book as a journaling exercise for people who can go and do this for themselves and take my book as an inspiration to go and try for themselves. But being able to stop, what it gives you is the more that you do it, and I mean, even in the book, you can see the first 6 days, it was just thought process after thought process after thought process, and it was exhausting. I'm not going to lie, but what came through that was all the thoughts that had been held up in my head that I'd been pushing back and pushing away and didn't want to go near, and they dissipated, and then came peace. And it was like this, almost like this fresh air inside my head came. And then the creativity and the inspiration started to come, and the ability to start to manifest stuff that I didn't even know what manifesting was then. And, you know, thinking a thought and not very long in the future, that thought becoming a reality. And there are many, many examples of that in my book. And I'm just a normal human being. What I do now is directly a result of where that journey started when I originally wrote out the manuscript then for the book that was just published. And so if I were to give one piece of advice, breathing, first and foremost, is a really good thing. Like, one of the most simplest things and really easy for me to say. But when the kids are being noisy and you've got so much to work out and you don't know whether you should be away or here or there, the stopping makes all the difference. It is the silence between the notes that allows us to get the inspirational thoughts rather than those overwhelmed, bombarding monkey mind, we've heard it called before, you know, full on terror thoughts that just kind of can take over and then we can't see through.
Right. So yeah, somebody's saying, yep, breathing is underrated.
So underrated. Yeah.
And also the way you breathe, right? Because if you
Absolutely.
are you're breathing from up here and your breath is shallow, and this is making a pause to really breathe from your inside. So can you, like, how would you tell somebody
Absolutely.
to stop and do this? Like, what would they do?
Yeah, totally. So I'm gonna totally give this to one of our favorite authors, Jen Sincero, because when I heard her describe this, I thought it was just the most easy way for anybody to grasp how to breathe in a way that is fulfilling and restorative. And that is to breathe in through your nose like you're smelling the most beautiful flower. Because when we do that, and you can't help but take that breath all the way down and inside. And it is the difference when we're breathing up here. It is the equivalent to the caveman, under duress, fight or flight. The adrenaline, it makes the adrenaline roll. So you can make yourself anxious. You can be calm and make yourself anxious by breathing up here high and through your mouth and really quickly. You can literally have been in a calm state. You start breathing like that, you're not going to feel calm for very long. The beauty is the opposite is true too. You put your hand down low between your belly button and your pubic bone and breathe until you feel your hand moving, which if you breathe like you're smelling a beautiful flower, it does naturally. Then you are bringing those endorphins right through your body and enabling yourself to calm down.
Now, how long does somebody, like, I want this to be like a tutorial, right? So that somebody, maybe we're not going to solve everybody's problem in a live of 20 minutes, but if somebody is like, oh my gosh, like they got an email from the school and it's bad news, and like the kids can't let her work and her boss is on her phone and blah, blah, blah. Like, what can she do at that moment and just like stop, like interrupt that pattern and get to a place where she can, maybe she's not going to be able to sit there and really meditate, but to just calm down?
Yeah, sure. So my advice there would be to move away from the situation. Now that might be step up from the computer, it might be step out of the front door, it might be step behind the toilet door, or the bathroom door. But move your body first and foremost, because when we move our body, we're able to change our state. When we change our state, our emotion will change. So the motion of moving, and literally it can just be from sitting down to standing up, from being bent over and in duress to sitting up straight and shoulders back, to to taking that breath. Maybe for one of your listeners or watchers, there might be a word that to them really means something special, and just to think that word, and repetition works. So sure, you might forget one day, and then you might remember that that was the word you were going to use to make yourself just feel calm. The word might just simply be calm. But if you begin to integrate a word repetitively that you know means to you a space of being able to just calibrate for a moment, then continuing to think that consistently will help.
Mhm.
The thing that will, the opposite to that is just that's a kind of opposite dichotomy to that is if you stay in the moment and you are feeling that pressure and you do nothing about all of that pressure, the pressure will just increase. So to literally take a step, to stand up, to take a breath, to think a thought. But the thing is to actually do it, because as human beings, we can get so lost in just, it's happening, and it's happening. It's like, think the thought, take the one step, just do one small thing. And if that one small thing is standing up, it can make all of the difference.
Okay. So physically interrupt that pattern, then take, then have a word or have an image or something that you can grab onto, whether it's smelling the rose or whatever, and just breathe and be there. And how long does it take, because, to start?
Absolutely. Yeah, great question, because ultimately just an pattern interrupt, which is exactly what that is. That pattern interrupt can be enough that if you've just had an email and the phone is ringing and your child's walked in the room asking you a question at the same time, the pattern interrupt can be enough that you don't turn around and yell at your kid. The pattern interrupt could just be that moment in time that you're able to take the breath, because you stand up, so you're going to breathe in a different way suddenly, and recognize what was about to happen, so that you can then, even if it's still asking your kid to go away for a minute, asking them to, rather than yelling at them and then feeling bad after the fact. Or, so that literal pattern interrupt could happen immediately. It might be that these things have piled on top and piled on top and piled on top, and the overwhelm is at, big state. So then sure, if you're in a space of anxiety, a stand up might not be the thing that's going to happen immediately. But you go outside and listen for some birds and feel the grass beneath your feet and take in a good amount of deep breaths, you'll begin to at least notice. And when you begin to notice the positives, then then that is still that same pattern interrupt. It might just take that little bit longer.
Yeah. And I heard this analogy once, which was great. And it's, if you are noticing, if you are aware of how you are breathing and how you are feeling, you can catch yourself before the momentum is very big, right? So if you had a car and you're in San Francisco and you are at the top of a hill, and you forget to put the brakes in the car, and the car starts moving, and you realize it right away, and there's like some big strong people next to you, you can catch it, right? And maybe that'll be okay. But if you let the car go down and you're like, holy crap, my car is going down the hill, and you run like flash lightning and you meet the car at the bottom of the hill and you say, stop, the car is going to run you over. You don't have a chance. Right?
Yeah, you're going to be splat.
You're going to be splat. And it's the same thing. So if you catch yourself, if you learn to catch yourself before, as the car is coming down, as it's starting, then it's going to be a lot easier to that pause before you turn to your kid.
Yeah,
totally. If you don't see the steps coming, your kid is going to be the car at the bottom of the hill, and you're just going to lose it, because it wasn't about your child. It was about all these things.
It was never.
So
Absolutely. And I mean, and something interesting, I was chatting with my clients last night and saying to them, look, what happens before what happens, which means start to notice. So what happens before what happens. Start to notice well, this is the presenting issue. Okay, but what happens before that? And what happens before that? And how is your breathing before that? And how do you feel in your shoulders before, like get really curious in what you do, because what you do is different to what I do, and what Jane does and Michelle does and Melissa does. We all do it differently. We might breathe in our heightened breathing might be the anxiety breathing, and our calm breathing might be the deep belly breathing. But the things that trigger us are all different for each and every one of us. And the awareness is the thing that will make the change. And even just being here and listening to the live and allowing that to seep in, you'll begin to notice something different. I think, I didn't realize I did that, but now I know I do that. I'm going to be aware of it next time, and I'm going to be able to catch it sooner. And something really important to say would be, and when you mess up and you yell at your kid, be kind to yourself. These are incredibly crazy times. And even if we weren't in incredibly crazy times, we're all human and we get stuff wrong. And if you can apologize properly and, with your hand on your heart, or your heart, wearing your heart on your sleeve, and apologize for messing up, then great. And if you yelled at your kid and you believe it was deserved, then okay, fine. But don't beat yourself up, because that doesn't help you or your child or the situation going forward. You just get a chance to go, okay, I didn't catch it soon enough this time. Next time I'm going to be more aware.
I love this idea of catching it sooner, right? And I think that for me, I always have a takeaway from our conversations, Jackie. And for me today, for this conversation, is that, learn to catch it, learn to, so that when you do the breathing, the chances are that you're going to feel better right away, because you're at the top of the hill. You don't have that whole momentum of being splattered by a car.
I love that. Definitely my takeaway is the splat car.
Yeah. So I think maybe, if you're listening, think about that. What is your catch it, right? Like, what is it that can give you that, okay, I'm going down this path, like my momentum is starting, and be very aware. And because it's going to take a little bit of practice for you to figure it out. But is it that there's like like something hurts on your back, or is it that I don't know, that you start twitching in your eye? Is it that you have 3 thoughts in a row that is like, fuck them? Like I've become such a sailor mouth lately. I think as my kids became teenagers,
they've got older, so it's more loud.
But maybe you have 3 thoughts of like, what the heck is that person thinking? Like 3 in a row from me, it's like, okay, like this is not gonna go well. Like, what is it for you that shows you that you're no longer at center? Like what is that cue? And if you figure that out, and if you learn what that is, then you can catch yourself sooner. Then it'll be easier to implement meditation. It'll be easier to get fast benefits from that meditation. So I challenge you, if you're watching this, to figure out what that is, and then let us know. Just put it in the comments, what your catch it is, like so that if you make that association really clear, it can really be life-changing, because it really means that all those times, maybe like 90% of those times that you would have acted a certain way, you're now going to have the wherewithal to act differently. So I think, so share with us. If you already know, share with us now. If not, just come back and put it in the comments. But Jackie, and if you have questions, this is the time to ask, because we're about to wrap it up here. So Jackie, in your book, or tell us, like, what was your biggest takeaway, or what would you like somebody to read your book and know or learn or do?
So if I can get 2 things.
Yeah.
So the first thing absolutely is that meditation it doesn't have to be this big mystical thing. Simply being quiet with yourself for an amount of time to recalibrate your emotions can be enough to make change. And by being with yourself, I literally say, so I give away a little 10-step meditation process at the end of the book. And that process is literally sit somewhere comfortable where you're not resting your head when you're going to fall asleep. Think about different parts of your body, relax them down, set your clock, set your watch so you're not having to think about the time, and just breathe. Like, that's it. That's literally it. So that's takeaway number 1. Takeaway number 2 is, I'm going to be a sailor mouth now. Holy shit. Anything is possible. Like, really, you dream it, it's possible. And it might not happen just like that. And some things do and some things don't. But when you believe it, that it's meant for you, and it may not show up in the way that you expected it to show up for you, but oh my gosh, one quick little snippet was, I wanted to be on stage. I had visualized the dress I was going to wear, the shoes I was going to wear. I went to an event a few weeks later, happened to be wearing that outfit, but I was in an event of 1,400 people where there was a speaker on stage, and he plucked me out of the audience. And I'm like, as I walked up the stairs, I'm like, holy cow. And then he presented me the microphone and told me to tell my story. So there I was. And like, I didn't make that happen. That was one example of being able to just start to design my own life, which is where I sit today, which is a whole number of years down the line from when I actually wrote the manuscript for the book. So yeah, so that would be my other takeaway is, so first takeaway is, it's as simple as you can make it for you to be able to do it. And the second one is absolutely everything is possible.
Yeah. Oh my God. Maybe that should be like a whole separate live, because I am so down that road with you. And I think that, because I mean, like, that is a true heartfelt belief of mine. But nothing is possible if you are freaking out. Nothing is possible if you can't calm yourself down enough in order to be creative. It's like one of the things I tell my clients over and over and over and over again. It's like, you cannot find answers when you can't see, right? When you're freaking out, or when you're nervous, or when you're like, and this is going wrong, 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 everything is going to continue to go wrong. You have to calm down. You have to come to center, and then you'll be able to figure it out, because all the answers are within you already. You already know what the right thing is to do. Like, if somebody is thinking of, like, for in my case, like, if somebody's thinking about starting a children's fitness program, they already know whether they want it or not. They already know that it's the right thing for them. But between them knowing and them doing is all this fear. It's all this. So if you calm that down, everything you need is already inside of you. But meditation is a path to access that, right?
Totally.
Okay. Well, Jackie, thank you so much for being here. I hope that this conversation helps you guys out there, that it gives you some tools to just, we have a question for you before, here I was, like, in the middle of a very—
So good.
And it says, Facebook user, question for Jackie. If you are willing to share, what was the thing that made you seek this path? Was there a drop that filled the glass?
So I'm going to assume, and if the watcher wants to type in that I'm going on the wrong way, but I'm assuming he means the path of the book versus the path of what I do as a coach.
Or I think the path for, like, to, I don't know, or to seek this path of meditate, of, like,
so
your levels.
So the path, as far as taking the path I took on doing the 90 days of work, was that two things. I had decided that I was going to go away and spend some time in France on my own. And people kept saying to me, what are you going to go and do? You're going to go and write a book? And I'm like, no. Oh, well, I could. So because of that, and I was like, well, if I was going to write a book, what would I write it on? And at the time, I was watching videos from a guy called Kyle Cease, who is a Californian chap who used to be a comedian. He actually has follows a full personal development program and helps people realize themselves in all different ways. And he was doing 100 days of meditation videos. And I was like, and that was what sparked me to think, well, I'm going away for 90 days. Can I do this for 90 days? And that's what sparked that journey. The coaching and mentoring side of thing, the psychological levels of love, that was sparked by I had always been a giver and a supporter and a server in one way or another. And I had gone down some different routes, including many different network marketing type businesses. And the parts I loved about those businesses was the helping of people, not so much. I was never passionate particularly about any of the products, but I was really passionate of helping the other people shine their light. And so I started to connect those dots and follow that path, which then led me years down the line to having that download about the psychological levels of love, which I now teach on.
Right. So if somebody wanted to reach you and be like, I'm interested in learning more about your programs or working with you, how would they do that?
Sure. So on Facebook, so you can see how my name is written. I've written it out in full on the video. So literally my website is jackiecrean.com. And so you can go on there and have a look at the different things that I do, which form from some personal development training to a membership site I'm literally just launching, because I recognize there are many people around the world who aren't in a position to be able to work with me in the intensive that I do, but would still benefit from a weekly group session. So there's that. And also I do a coaching certification and coaching business model around the psychological levels of love. So I teach that now as well. So that's my website. And then my Facebook page is my personal page. So again, there are about 3 people in the world with my name. So if you type in my name, of course, Christina, you're a friend on my Facebook anyway, so I would pop up. Just come and friend request me on there, or send me a message, because I'm topping out on friend numbers. So if you send me a message, say, hey, I saw you on Christina's live, would love to connect with you, then I'll make sure that happens.
Awesome. Yeah, the challenges of being so popular, right, Jackie?
Yeah, that it's said to the introvert in the corner who, I love doing this, but
I know. Well, thank you so much for being here. Oh, somebody said happy birthday to me. Thank you. I don't know if this is Facebook user, but whoever you are, thank you. Yeah. So also maybe, Jackie, when we post this in the group, I will put links, or maybe you can put links to your website, and that way people can reach to you. And thank you for coming over and having a little chat with me. I always love, just hearing you is so nice.
It was absolutely my pleasure. I've really, really enjoyed it. Thank you for inviting me. I love that I get to do this with you on your birthday. So, and yeah, I know it's early, or it's much earlier with you than it is with me. So I hope everybody watching and listening live to this has the most beautiful and peaceful day.
Wonderful. All right. Thank you so much. All right, guys. Thank you. And we'll
bye now.
Bye.